Let it be. With me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Continued camp coverage here on the Louie T Network. Day number 3. The offense strikes back. We'll talk about the day on the field here in a second, but want to clean up some housekeeping before we get to the on-field activities for day number 3. So offensive lineman, offensive guard Trey Turner has a quad strain. So he was out of practice today and will be out of practice for the foreseeable future. We'll see how long this quad strain hampers him. And in the meantime, we will have to tap into that depth in the reserves. Obviously, this is why it is imperative that Chase Rouye be back, which he is. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it allows you to not have to, go too deep into the well, so to speak. You can just now plug in Wes Schweitzer, who we all love and think is fully capable of starting, and you just keep the party going. So, a little bit of a setback because you want to build continuity. And, this is the opposite of doing that by having one of the new guys, especially being out of the lineup. But, you can't help, when injuries do crop up, and hopefully it's not anything serious. So that's a good thing. And hopefully it's not something that lingers either. If it's going to happen, this is the time for it to happen early in camp, get it out the way, get back on the field and stay healthy the remainder of the way. So speaking of injuries and being healthy, one Chase is officially out while the other Chase is officially back. So essentially one Chase enters, the other exits. Chase Rouye officially activated off the PUP list and returned to practice in full today. So that was a great sign for the Washington Commanders. Again, really helps to fortify that offensive line. And as I just mentioned, with Trey Turner going down, allowing Chase Rouye to slide back in the center allows Wes Schweitzer to move from center back outside to guard, which again allows the offensive line to keep some semblance of continuity there. Meanwhile, Chase Young, which we already knew this was going to be the case, is going to miss at least the first game of the season. Ron Rivera has said already time after time that Chase is going to miss some time. I've been my first initial thought was 3 weeks. I said maybe Chase, and Logan Thomas miss around the first 3 weeks of the season. But if you start on the PUP list, you're out for the first 4 weeks, bare minimum. You cannot return until after week 4. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, how they gauge those injuries as to whether they have those guys be on the active roster to start, even though they won't be playing, taking up roster spots, but not actually on the field, thinking that they can be back before that week 4 PUP list deadline, or if they feel like, okay, these guys are going to be cutting it close. We don't want to rush them back. Let's go ahead and start the season off with these guys on the PUP list, and therefore having them out for the first month of the season. It'll be an interesting decision there. But again, let the injury and the process of them healing speak to you, and we'll see what happens. But this is not new news. We knew Chase Young was going to miss some time. We just don't know how much. Right now, they're going ahead and ruling out week 1 as Chase Young is going to miss at least the first week of the season. I think he's going to ultimately start the season on the PUP list, but we will see. Same thing happened in Dallas with Michael Gallup, who is also coming off of an ACL tear. He's been ruled out officially of week number 1. And so, teams are going to go ahead, take that off the table to, lower the expectation of the fan base, just to let you know, hey, this guy will not be available all preseason and into the regular season week 1, and we'll go from there. So same thing happening here with Chase Young. Ryan Kerrigan. I know some of you think that I don't like Ryan Kerrigan, which is couldn't be further from the truth. Love Ryan Kerrigan. Love the fact that he was a great representation of this organization and franchise for the better part of a decade. And he was all we had for a stretch there, honestly speaking. There wasn't much here to be excited about. And he was always the constant. He didn't miss any football games. There was an 8-year stretch there early in his career from when he was drafted in 2011 to 2019 where he didn't miss a single contest. So this guy was an Iron Man of sorts for Washington. He always showed up, lunch pail, hard hat, got the job done. It wasn't always pretty. But one thing we can say is that Ryan Kerrigan is a Washington now commander, but a Redskin football team member, whatever you want to call him, through and through. Signed a one-day contract here to retire as a Washington commander. Came into the building to a rousing standing ovation. Ryan Kerrigan walked in with his family, daughter, wife, and Chase Young came and dapped him up. All the coaches were, and some of the front office personnel were standing there giving him a standing ovation as he walked in. They had him up on the video Tron. They also had a little screen there that said, "Thank you, Ryan." It was a nice moment. And we're all glad to see him back. All-time sack leader with 95.5 sacks for the Washington Commanders. He had a great career. He'll go down as one of the best pass rushers to ever wear the burgundy and gold. And he's a guy that clearly will be in the ring of honor here shortly. So Ryan Kerrigan comes back, signs a one-day contract to retire a Washington Commander. Good for him, good for the organization, and I'm happy that he was able to end his career where it all started, here in Washington. One of the big, conversations that was spawned from a single photograph was the crowd turnout at camp for Washington. I mean, this thing kind of went to the national stage. There were so many people weighing in on the picture of just two fans sitting outside of the little fence, the little rope that they have to separate fans from the practice area. And, it was a nasty day out. That's one. Two, we can make all the excuses we want. It wasn't a great turnout. And we've talked about some of the reasons why. The whole raffle ticket thing, the parking has been a mess because they're having it at Ashburn for the first time in a long time with fans actually in attendance. Remember, last year they had it at Ashburn, but there was no fans due to COVID. The year before that, it was, in the about 5 or 6 years previous to that, it was in Richmond. So they haven't had to do this at Ashburn for quite some time, and probably even longer than that. It was been in Richmond. So it's been a cluster F, to say the least. But the turnout was much greater today after, some of the issues that were had a day ago. Look, it's not a big deal to me. I've had people hit me up talking about this is why you won't win, this, that. I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, I didn't know fan attendance at training camp practices equaled to postseason play. I didn't realize those two were, one and the same. They were synonymous, and they had anything to do with one another. So I didn't know there was a direct correlation between the two. I could give two shits about how many people come to training camp practice. I care about if we're winning in September, in October, in November, into December, and hopefully into January. That leads to some February play. That's what I care about. So, is this indicative of what's going to happen when we get to week 1 against Jacksonville? I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I just care about winning. And so this has nothing to do with winning. But in any event, it was a lot bigger of a turnout today. You see the pictures, a lot of fans out there. It looks like a normal training camp practice. And the weather was probably worse today than it was yesterday. But that's nor here nor there. It was just something worth mentioning. Let's move on to the actual activities on the field. And day 3 was all about the offense striking back. We talked about the first 2 days of camp and how the defense had the upper hand. And look, that's standard operating procedure, that when you show up to camp, the defense has the advantage because of the offense having to get into a rhythm, especially if you have a new quarterback and a bunch of new weapons. That's to be expected. But even if you have a veteran and a bunch of guys that have been together, it's still about timing and getting everything down pat. The defense usually is ahead of the offense. So it wasn't a surprise that the defense was out making plays, getting their hands on footballs, deflections, end up picking some passes off, things of that nature. Well, the offense took it personal, as we thought they would. I could tell that Terry yesterday when he spoke, wasn't happy that the defense got the best of the offense. And so Terry, being the competitor that he is, and, all these guys are competitors. That's how they got to this level. You knew they were going to want to come out and try to assert themselves and establish that the defense wasn't going to just be dominating the offense. And so today was all about the offense, getting back on track. some big plays were made. Jahan Dotson had a one-hand grab at practice. De'Ami Brown with the catch of the day. Carson Wentz threw a wobbler up, down the field about 30, 40 yards. And it looked like it was going to be picked off. Kendall Fuller was in perfect position to pick it off. And De'Ami Brown, showing off that new physique that he's been working on all season, goes up, wrestles the ball away from Kendall Fuller in the end zone for the touchdown. This came just 2 plays after Carson Wentz missed a wide open Terry McLaurin down the field for a touchdown on a deep ball. So, they needed a spark there. They got it on that play. Terry had a diving catch on one 11-on-11 drill. Carson Wentz was sharp on a possession where they had the offense go against the starting defense. So you saw the offense come into life. This was, like I said, a big day for the offense. Sam Howell looked impressive today, to which Terry McLaurin yelled to him, "I like what you're doing, young fella." So you're seeing the offense starting to evolve, starting to grow, guys starting to get more and more comfortable, getting more and more reps. So this is what to be expected. You're going to have days where the defense dominates. You're going to have days where the offense gets the upper hand. That's how it's supposed to be. And so the offense was much better today. Antonio Gibson getting more work on the practice field, still not practicing with the team yet, but they're slowly working him up and revving him up. Same with Curtis Samuel. Ron Rivera stepped up to the podium today and said that Curtis Samuel is a guy that they're going to limit in practice just to make sure that we don't have the same thing happen that happened last season. So they're going to take it slow with him. Samuel actually spoke today to the media, and he said, look, that's the plan. That's what we're going to run with, and it's going to work. He feels great. He says, there's nothing wrong with me physically. I'm just going to take it slow so that we don't have any issues. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not an issue. He'll be ready to rock and roll when his number is called. Because, again, this is not something that has been a problem for him throughout his career. This has been a frustrating situation for him, for us as fans watching it play out here in Washington. This never happened to him at Carolina. It didn't happen to him at Ohio State. This is not something that occurs with him. So I'm expecting him to be healthy this year. And he sounds like he's going to be healthy this year. So they just want to be, cautious. There's no reason to push him hard. We don't even have pads on right now. So there's no reason to really go hard with guys like Curtis Samuel, like Antonio Gibson. John Bates was on the side field today, as another guy. The tight end group was very thin with AGG retiring and John Bates off on the side field. So, again, this is what it's about early in camp. You just want to be cautious. You do not want to put guys out there and they have something. No need to be pushing through anything this early in camp. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon, and we're just getting started. You don't want to get out of the gates of a marathon hauling ass and using up all your energy. You got to pace yourself. So, no worries. Injuries are part of the game, but nothing significant to this point. So we need not be worried. So that's day 3 in a nutshell. Also heard from Deron Payne. You don't really get much from Deron when he speaks. It's just an obligation for him, but I can tell you this, there will be no issues about holding out or anything like that. And we knew that, right? But he's like, look, you get paid by showing up and playing football. I want to play football. I love playing football. That's why I'm here. And if I play well, I'm going to get paid. So that's how I'm approaching it. I'm going to show up, play hard, do the things that, I've been doing and, look to get paid thereafter. But I'm not worried about it right now. So that it won't be an issue. Obviously he had to get some contract questions, knock those out, and kept it pushing. So I thought he answered those well. He talked about pass rushing, and he said, look, I came here out of Alabama with all of 3 sacks. So the progress that I've made in that department is huge, and I'm looking to make even, bigger steps towards, being a much more consistent pass rusher. So that's what's going to ultimately get him paid, if you want to be honest. It's like, yeah, this guy's been really good stopping the run. He's been dominant at times. He's been really good at getting to the quarterback at times, but it seems like it's not as consistent, especially the getting to the quarterback piece. He's usually pretty consistent in the run game when he's not running over top of blocks. When he stands his ground, he's a pretty good run defender, borderline elite. So you want to see those sack numbers increase a bit, and I think he understands that, and we'll see if he's able to do that in 2022 or not. But A big season for him, regardless of what, because someone's going to pay him. If we don't, and we don't franchise tag him, someone's going to pay Deron Payne because he's a good football player. So it's a big season for him. It's a contract year. We'll see how he performs. But in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, day number 3 of training camp. And so we'll continue to do this. I will be out of the office this weekend. So again, as I've mentioned, don't expect any updates unless something major happens. You probably won't see my face until early next week, Monday or Tuesday. So I will stay abreast of what's going on. Obviously, keep my ear to the street, even though I'll be out of the office. And if anything of note happens, you will see this face all up in your space. But until then, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, post up and take command. You guys, have a good one. God bless. Take care and enjoy your weekend.
LouieTeeNetwork.